Is Ahmed Maravia on 87.7 FM. We're halfway through Ramadan. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about success stories. Today's topic is about role models. With myself is my fellow colleague and right-hand man, Basid. Oh, well, I'll let him introduce himself. Right, if you do want to interact with us, we're live on 87.7 FM. The studio line is 0116 4822 You can either text us or WhatsApp us on 077 488 55055. You can also hear us streaming on Android. We're on Android and Apple app, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, tune into Twitter and Spotify as well. Bas, how's Ramzan going?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain, It's amazing.
I know, mashallah, we're already halfway through. Listeners, this is an interaction show, so, either messages or texts. We're going to be talking about role models today in our community, especially the Muslim community. Have we got enough? Have we not got enough? Role models. Just a brief insight into role models. Correct me if I'm wrong. To be a good role model, you can be positive. You need the following qualities: leadership, confidence. It is hard, difficult times for them. Do we do enough? Who would you say? I mean, we're all football coaches. You've worked in the education industry, being a teacher. Who do you think the youth look up to?
We said that we need somebody to look up to, right? Personally, I think, parents, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties, grandparents.
I mean, you've just touched on a good one there. You've just said parents. As a child, you're a young father. Kids look up to parents as role models. You know what I mean? How the parents interact, how the mum, the dad, like you've just said, grandparents, uncles, aunties, could be their other siblings and stuff like that. So that's, as a role model, that's the first port of call for a child as a part of them growing up in life. Then, next step forward, they go to nursery, they go to school, they look up to teachers. You've been in the teaching industry, and how would you say kids look up to you?
Sometimes, kids come up to me and says, "Look, I need help with this, I need help with that." They wouldn't do that with their parents. For example.
Is it them being afraid, or certain things they can talk to you about and they can't speak to you? You can't talk to your parents about?
Yeah, sometimes they need an outsider to listen to them, and give them and guide them as much as they can. Sometimes parents are there, don't get me wrong, but they need to. They tend to look outside the house, if you know what I mean, for some support. It may be to do with that, something that they're going through in school, for example. They can't go home and speak to their parents about.
Is that like personal issues?
Personal issues, yeah. Money issues, for example. Even in our football environment, we have some players that have got issues at home. They can't go to speak to their parents about it. They come to speak to us about it because we're the next protocol, next point of call.
Because as a role model, as a coach, as a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a guru. It's like you've just said, it's somebody outside your normal family environment, somebody that they look up to.
It's like sometimes we've experienced something that their parents haven't experienced. So we can obviously then touch a light on them kids, to show them the way. We've also got like Molanas as well. We've got coaches, we've got teachers. You mentioned all these people, but they're only available certain time of the day, shall I say. We should have somebody there 24/7, or even an organisation that's there 24/7, to say, hold on, I need some help with this, I need some help with that. And there could be a role model behind that.
I mean, I know we've just come out of lockdown, and in the last 2 years, COVID, I mean, the biggest issue I've realised and I've noticed, especially with the youth and the children, has been mental health issues. As coaches, talking to various coaches from our club, and even outside the club, is the issues, how kids have dealt with it, because you've literally been in lockdown 24/7. You know, you can't go out, you can't mingle, you can't talk to. Yeah, online is different. You know, they all like to play their online games, etc., and stuff like that. But the issue has been not interacting. There's been families, you know, people that I know where they've had kids, and the kids have had no interaction with their siblings, family siblings, grandparents. They don't know nothing better than seeing mum and dad and immediate family members like brothers and sisters.
Does this come down to, like, you know, the amount of hours or the time they spent with their parents or the family? For example, like, you know, when you're at school, you're there for nearly 8 hours of the day. You go home for about an hour.
It is a family school. Yeah. It's a family.
Yeah. So, like, you know, the teachers become more or less your family.
Yes.
You're home for about an hour and a half, and then you go to madrasa, for example, and then you see your Maulana's there for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You know, and then you go home, you have some dinner, and then you're off to bed. So more or less the whole day you don't get to see your parents. You know,
that can be said the same about your working environments as well.
Exactly.
Or college or university.
It works across the whole board. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Question for you, Bas. You've touched on, you know, parents, teachers, Maulanas, ustads, whatever. They're one sort of role model. The youth of today. I mean, I'm not just talking about Leicester, Leicestershire. It's the same story up and down the country. Who do these kids look up to? You know,
to be honest, like, you know, you mentioned this as well. Like, you know, people now, they're outside the box. They're thinking outside the box. They're looking at footballers, for example, you know, as role models. Like, you know, Ronaldo. You got people like Rashford. You know, these are just some of the names that people look up to. The reason being is because, like, you know, some people are not approachable, should I say?
In what respect would you say that?
So, like, you know, no disrespect to anybody here, but, like, you know, people in organizations, they may not be accessible in such ways that, you know, if they were to go to visit them, they're not there, you know, or if they try to call them, they're not there, for example, on the end and on the other side of the phone. So yeah, like, you know, these people look up to these footballers, you know, the rappers that we say, you know, all these artists and stuff. It's because they've got such a huge following, and, you know, social media plays a massive
especially
part.
in this day and age. Yeah,
that's right.
Media. Yeah, definitely. So would you say, as a community, we're not doing enough for our youth then?
I'd say
not in a disrespectful way. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all.
But my answer would be, like, you know, 60% yes, 40% no, because, like, you know, we run an organization. You know how hard it is. You know, we put a lot of effort into what we run. These kids, we bring them into our organization so that they're off the streets, you know, so that they're not involved in any crime, or, you know, to stay away from the streets kind of stuff. But there are some organizations, you know, like I said, look, you can approach them, but they're not there 24/7. Or, you know, like for us, I'm sure all the other organizations that are in a similar boat to us, that, you know, if they were to give us a call, we'd be there to answer the call, answer any of the questions they may have. You know, even pop around to their house, you know, just say, look, what's happening? Can you help? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? You know, just an arm around them kind of thing. You know, just to support them as much as they can, and then, you know, guide them as much as we can as well.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you think, but to me, you know, it seems like it starts bottom upwards. You know, issues at home for the youth. I'm not saying everybody. Issues in their personal life, peer pressure. You know, and a lot of this, you know, obviously every child, when they become that age, they want to make that quick buck, and they look up to these role models. Do you know what I mean? To say, well, if he's got it, you know, rather than praising somebody, even within our own community, you know, if some brother or sister's got a nice car, is that, do you think, I don't like to use the word jealousy, but they want to be like them. Do you know what I mean? And it's a difficult one. Do you think we should start bottom upwards? You know, like you say, we've got all these, you know, teachers, parents, siblings, Maulanas, everybody like that. We should be more united, more working towards the youth, whether it's boy or girl. So later on in life, you know, when we have these issues, because, like, the way I see it, and, you know, I speak to a lot of brothers through football up and down the country, and yes, we're providing a service, so is loads of other organisations. It doesn't have to be football. It could be martial arts, boxing, a gym, could be any sporting activities, you know, or running a youth club or anything along them lines. But are we doing enough for these children?
So obviously you probably know the other role I have in my workplace as well. Like, you know, I help manage a lot of the youth with their, their finances when they're coming up to, for example, the football academy and stuff like that. So, once they get a professional contract, then they're going to look up to all their role models that they're looking up to. Like, for example, like, we mentioned like Ronaldo, the Messis or whatever. They've got enough money to buy, as many cars as they want, as many houses as they want, right? Okay. But we've got to understand that, look, a footballing career is a short career, 15, 16 years at the most, We educate them in such a way that, then 15, 16 years, whatever money you've made or whatever, you've got to invest that properly, right? You've got to invest it in such a way that you're then benefiting from it, after your career's ended. So these role models do work in a positive way, but they also work in a negative way in the sense that, to these young footballers that are coming through, the young, the young youth, shall I say, coming through whatever organisation they're coming up through, they'll be like, oh, this person's got this person's got that. Can I go and buy this? Can I go and buy that? And then they look at the bank accounts, but oh, I've got £0 now. Do you understand? Like, we do money management as well. Like, also like, talking about knife crime and stuff like that. So these things that they're aware of, they're alert. They know that, these things are happening on the streets. These things are happening to the youth, so that they can manage things better. Their behaviour, the money,
I mean, you touched on knife crime. I mean, that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. Obviously, I'm not saying every youngster or every youth is bad, but we know knife crime is up. Okay, and we know youngsters do want to make quick buck, as I call it. I think we've just had a message come through. Do you want to just read that message, boss? Yep.
So the message says, Assalamu alaikum, interesting topic. Suggestion, we visit the prisons and ask the youth in there what was not present in your life that would have made a difference and probably prevented them from going into prison. Brilliant suggestion. We talk about what things that we didn't have in our life, we're now trying to make it better for the youth that are coming through now, okay? Now, just talking about little things like that. I'll just come back to the text in a minute, but, my mom and dad, they taught me life skills and that stuff that the teachers wouldn't have told me or taught me. Things like ironing or changing a light bulb or, putting a socket onto a cable.
Can you do that?
I can, of course. I can do that, yes. But, these things that, my dad, my late dad taught me this. You wouldn't be taught that in a primary school or secondary school setting, until you actually think about teaching or learning about, electrics or things like that. I used to have a football coach back in the day. He used to come pick me up, drop me off, pick me up and drop me off to training sessions, game days. But, on the way there, he'd talk to us about, how he's facing experiences, in his life so that we can, probably adjust things and then improve in that way. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, so my coaches say, oh, he's having some issues at home. So it's good to share because, we get to listen to what his stories are. We can probably give him some ideas, although we were quite young at that time, but we can still, say, if we do things this way, it could possibly help you in a way as well. But yeah, that's a great suggestion, talking about, going into prisons, asking them, what could have been a cure for you, for example, rather than you being in prison? What could have been done so that,
Well, I think there's that's just saying one of us seems to be far from the mic. I don't know which one of us, but I mean, what he's just put down is what's been lacking. But as a community, we're not doing enough. That's me personally, and like I said to you before. I mean, we went to do a football presentation in Lancashire about 2-3 weeks ago. We had, quite a few, about 20 odd coaches from all around Lancashire. And it's a similar story up and down the country. There's a breakdown of communication between various organisations. And I don't want to, name any names or anything like that. The Islamic establishments, as well as the youth of today. There is a big breakdown of communication. We see that. Because, when we speak to youngsters, even slightly the older guys, the youth between 18 and 25, 26-year-olds, and it's the same thing that is happening up and down the country. There is a major issue in our community, which I don't think we're one of these. I think we tend to bury our heads in the sand, and we'll just think it's going to walk away. That problem will just disappear. And that is the biggest issue. We don't grab the bull by the horn and say, you know what, we have got issues in the youth with our community. You know, you look at the mosques, alhamdulillah, we're blessed in Leicester.
Alhamdulillah, you know.
Yeah. But the major issue is, I mean, we all know when it's Tarawih time and stuff like that, the mosques are getting full during the time of the first few days of Ramzan, last few, Eid, Jummah, etc. Majority will be outside. You know, that's the other thing that we've got. You know, theoretically, yes, build a mosque where you do need to build a mosque. Invest that money in the community. That's the way I see it. You know, if I've got a mosque and I'm getting 4 or 5 sofs, Basid, you've got 1, 3, 4. This generation don't really care if you're Pakistani, Baruchi, Surti, Memon, whatever you are. As long as you're Muslim, they will respect you. Yes, this comes back from our forefathers, the way I like to say it is tribalism from back home. You know, they used to say, don't talk to this person, don't marry this person, don't marry that person. You know, and that implemented into us, especially this youth and this generation. But the newer generation, they don't really give a damn. You know, as long as you're Muslim, they will, you know, even if you don't have to be Muslim, you could be a revert, they will respect you. You know, and this is where we are falling behind as a community. And that's why, you know, you've got knife crime, you've got drugs, everything seems to be going up, you know, but nobody seems to be bothered.
Yeah. We just kind of the text come in. I think it's the same person. He or she works in a prison, and the stories the youth or the men share is devastating. More needs to be done by the community to support those who have gone into prisons and supporting them when they come out. You know,
I totally agree with that one, because it's all about rehab.
That's right.
Right. And when that brother, sister does come out, we seem to tarnish them and say X, Y, and Z has been in prison.
Just been to prison, yeah, that's right.
Instead of supporting them, we won't support them as a community. You know, they've already got this label underneath them to say
pinpointing names and, you know.
Exactly. Rather than helping that person, you know, the mosques could do that. Other various organisations could. You know, there is some people that do, mashallah, alhamdulillah, do really fantastic work, but you know, we do need to help these brothers, because there is a really, really big percentage of Muslim brothers in prison.
Yeah. You know, if there's anybody out there that can contact us on, let me get the number, sorry, on 0116 4822 086, or the mobile number is 077 488 55055. If somebody can, you know, shine some light on us and guide us, you know, to what we can do, you know, to sort this out.
I mean, me personally, talking about it, you know, talking to other brothers up and down the country, as we can only do, certain organisations can only do so much, right? You know, we're doing it through the sporting circle, basically, but there's a lot that can be done. You know, football unites people. That's what we're good at. We're football coaches, and through football, we do life skills with these youngsters. But the major issue is, and I always tend to say it, is we're failing our youth, especially the next generation. I mean, guys like us, other brothers are there, sisters are there, who are doing, because they care what's happening in the community.
Just going to point out as well, you know, not disrespect to any parent, you know, I'm sure every parent's trying their hardest, you know, to do what we can for the better of the future, you know, for the kids.
Wow, that's an interesting fact there. We've just had a text come through and it says, let's look at stats. Nearly 15,000 Muslim men in prison, and 230 Muslim women in prison, England and Wales. Wow.
It's a big number, that, isn't it?
I thought it was more like 10,000, but you know what? That is shocking. That is shocking.
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, like, if somebody is out there, you know, that can provide with some sort of material or some sort of, like, you know, guidance to how we can help these brothers and sisters, you know, and become a role model yourself. Like, you know, you could come up with a small plan, or, you know, some sort of educational booklet, you know, so that we can pass on to these prisoners or whatever, you know, or the youth, shall I say. We're more than happy to distribute it through our community, I'm sure, right, Ahmed?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sorry, I was just talking about, you know, parenting as well. Like, you know, we can be the best of parents, and I'm sure, alhamdulillah, you know, we all are. We try our best to become, like, you know, good parents to our kids and stuff, to our kids. But like, you know, just yesterday I took my daughter out to the masjid, like, you know, for the third or fourth time, I think it was. You know, she loved the experience. She loved it. You know, she's not, no, you know, as a Muslim, you know, the boys and girls, they're happily welcome at the mosque. Okay, but that's only at namaz time, shall I say? During when it's not namaz times, the masjids are locked. if I'm correct, right?
It is. I mean, theoretically, prayer times, we're probably using it, 25 hours of the week, if that.
Yeah.
And the madrasa time, so let's just say, 3 hours they're probably using it. The rest of the day, they're locked up.
See, if an organisation can run some sort of sessions for the youth, it doesn't have to be Islamic, but as long as we utilise that mosque, for example, and welcome the kids into the mosque with open hands. Not just mosques, there's other organisations that I keep coming back to mosque because we're on Ramadan FM and we're in.
Well, the mosque should be a central hub of the community.
Of course, yeah.
Back in the days of our Prophet, the mosque was a central hub, whether it's business, community, whatever transaction. People used to meet and greet there, and that was a central hub of the community. Nowadays, certain people don't feel like that, and this is my personal feeling. Not being disrespectful to anybody at all, but I don't think they're as welcoming as they could be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not as welcoming as they could be. So, we could use that. Like for us, any interaction would have to go through the mosques. You know what I mean? But certain mosques don't really care.
I think nowadays, the new Molanas that are coming through, the young Molanas that are coming through, they're trying to implement something that we can work with, shall I say?
Definitely.
And I'm sure our organisation, we've been in the mosques before, we've been to masjids and madrasas before, to speak to kids and talk to them about their behaviour, or for example, how to get involved in sport. These young Molanas that are coming through, they are a good role model, shall I say?
Definitely.
We're coming back to the point of our topic today is being a good role model. Now, when I mentioned to you about taking my daughter yesterday to the mosque, I want to be that good role model, setting an example to my kids, right? Like, I even gave her a little bit of money so that she can go and put that money into the box. Why? Because it's giving charity.
Charity, yeah.
I want my daughter to grow up giving charity, lots of good charity.
So she sees the parent, the mum or the dad,
right, yeah.
giving money.
That's
so
right.
She will get. Did she ask you the question of why you're doing it?
No, so she saw a lot of people walk into mosque and putting money into a box. So she said, "Daddy, why are they putting money, into a box?" So
This is obviously Jummah prayers.
This is Jummah, yeah. So I was saying, look, this money is now going either to a mosque. There's a box for the masjid. There's a box for zakat. There's a box for sadaqah. So you can put money into whatever you want. Okay, as long as that money is given to you with good intention. So these are like the morals that I'm trying to teach my kids. Sorry, this is just personal that I'm talking to you about, but it's still becoming a good role model for your child.
Yeah, of course it is.
She went out and put some money into the box. She said, I'm trying to help a poor person. So she's put that money in. And then she went and took some more money out and she said, this is for the masjid.
Yeah.
To help pay for the electricity bills, whatever bills that they have to come through. So, we as Muslims, we as parents, brothers, sisters, we're trying to be good role models as much as we can. I'm sure you got brothers and sisters. I'm sure you're a good role model to your brothers and sisters. You can help them in any way, shape, or form. Somebody gives you a call, you'll be there to answer the call. Guide them in any way you can. So we're trying to be our best role models as much as we can.
I mean, a role model, like you just said. I mean, you've just touched on something really good. A role model could be just helping somebody.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be, like I say, that famous person. Or hot on social media or big on, nowadays a lot of the youngsters look on Twitter, Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And that's, X, Y, and Z's got 10,000 followers, or they've got, so many friends on Facebook. That doesn't make you a good. It's what are you doing? What are you practicing? What you're saying you're doing? That's the most important thing. And I'm not here slating any establishments or any madrasas. We have got really, especially in Leicester, we have got, mashallah, alhamdulillah, really good organisations that do a lot of, like you just touched on, a lot of young Maulanas, a lot of establishments, massages, madrasas, doing a lot of good work. I mean, we just had, Peace Centre. They do a lot. Doing, mashallah, alhamdulillah, brilliant job up there, providing youth activities, and there's just not enough there. Not just enough here, not just in Leicester, up and down the country. There's just not enough there for our youth to interact.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. And like I said before, the way we see it is we've got a breakdown of communications, especially with this new generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So just talking about breakdown of communication, like is there a way we can guide these youngsters or the youth to for example, our football academy or to an organisation that they can support these youth, providing that, a weekly, for example, seminar or a weekly, talk with them, and we can bring that special guest in, maybe VIP guests if we can try and, persuade them to come in. Or within ourselves, if we can ask the kids, who's your role model in the community? We can then ask them to come in and speak to them about it.
No, that's, or parents or, mum, dad, speak to your child. Who do who does your son, daughter look up to?
Yeah. It's like sometimes, if I would get into trouble with my parents, they'd call my uncle. Because, I'd look up to my uncle and he'd be like, he'd come and tell me off for a bit. But then that in itself is a role model, because obviously he's telling me off, but
he's looking out for you as well.
He's looking out for me. So at the same time, you're there in a circle where he's trying to help you, but then you become the better person.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. Just touching up on things that happened in the pandemic, like, for example, Marcus Rashford.
What he was doing was amazing.
A lot of people underestimate what he did. He was coming out with food parcels. I wouldn't say for the poor, but I'd say for the less fortunate, shall I say?
Yes.
Those that are not working, for example, or those that are low on income. He did a massive job, throughout lockdown, providing food parcels, giving out, good aid to all these people, and then he still got stick for it.
Do you think this is because he's doing something good and the other person doesn't like it? I mean, the way I see it, if you're doing something good, help him, praise him.
Of course.
Don't slate him off.
That's right.
I mean, because you're not doing it, does this come back to jealousy then, would you say?
Yeah, so, this is
why is he doing it and I'm not doing it?
This turned into like a political thing as well, but we won't get onto it. But, like the government could have done something for us, or for the youth that are coming through, during the pandemic. But, Rashford thought to himself that, let's think of this initiative and let's go forward from there. And, he's helped so many youth, whether from every background, he's helped them all. And, I'm sure going further, they're going to be like, I was helped by Rashford, okay, by providing me with good meals, whatever. 10 years down the line, he's going to say, you know what, Rashford did this for me, I'm going to do it for him.
Exactly. It's a chain reaction, isn't it?
That's right. So this is why I'm in the coaching position I am now, because of the coach that was coaching me back in the day when I was a youth. Now, when I joined this organization, CFA, I told Ahmed, look, I want to give back to the community what I was given to me when I was younger. Yeah, so, the
Thank
coaching hours, no problem. So, the coaching hours that was given to me for free, I didn't have to pay for that. I only paid for the venue that, where we played. But he was my role model. And, I now want to be the role model for the next generation coming forward.
But then you're also showing a positive to your daughter as well.
That's right, yeah.
Because you're giving up your time.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And it comes back to be a good role model. You don't always have to pay somebody, but the most important thing is you're giving up valuable time. You're doing something from the heart because you care.
That's right, yeah.
That's the most important positive thing about it. And, you can get paid for it. And I always say voluntary work is, there is, male, female, boys and girls who do a lot of good, and they are positive role models to the youngsters, in Leicester, Leicestershire, or up and down the country. And they don't want this massive stigma behind them saying, I'm doing it. Like I say, they're the silent killers, because they're doing it, they care. To be a role model, you don't have to have the fame and the glory either.
No. So, just touching up that as well, I was listening to the radio not long ago, I think it was last week of the week, during this week. I heard a group come on here and they were talking about, cleaning up St. Saviour's Road, East Park Road,
okay,
and Evington Road. They're coming down towards Masjid Umar and trying to clean up the streets and stuff.
Oh, right. Is that litter?
Yeah, litter.
Right.
So that itself is a good role model. You're trying to help clean the area. Why? Because it's our youth that are going to be using it, not just our youth, our elderly. If there's a stone in the way and you try and move that stone, it's like you've moved a big obstruction out of the way.
Yeah, because you could trip anything.
The elderly, they're prone to, falling over. If there's something on the floor, they may trip over it. Things like that. So we try and move things out the way. So these small things can be a very good step to become a good role model. I've just got a text.
Yeah, I think there's something come through. Straight Path something, Bass, if you just want to read that.
Yep. So it says, the Straight Path Resettlement Project in Leicester, Kidma organisation, supports Muslim men and women leaving prison and their families in Leicester. A great initiative. Keep up the good work. And, if there is anybody that needs some sort of help, we can always guide them in that position, in that way.
Of course we can. I mean, the good thing is there is a lot of, organisations doing, mashallah, alhamdulillah, really good work, in Leicester and up and down the country. You know what I mean? And that's that as an organisation, you've got loads of role models there. You've got people who know these people who are doing the work as well. So that is still a role model. You're still a role model regardless of what you do, what you're not doing. Do you know what I mean? So that is still a real positive role model as well.
Yep. So, just also touch up another role model that, you've got husbands, wives, they're a role model to each other, don't you think? They look after each other, they look after the kids. So, the kids are going to grow up to look at them and say, look, hold on, my mum and dad were like this, my mum and dad are like so close together, they were looking after us in such a way, So it comes back to becoming role models and good role models for everybody. You've got to just create that positive impact for everybody.
It could be a son looking after the mother.
That's right.
Or a daughter looking after the father or vice versa.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? And you're showing it's a positive message. And I think the most important thing is it starts from when they're young. Because a lot, especially with youngsters, you tend to lose them, give or take, when they're about 13, 14 years old, right? And how many parents know where our kids are? I mean, Ramzan's a typical example. Mum and dad thinks my son's gone to, Madrasa to pray Tarawih. They're hanging out on the streets. Do you know what I mean? And they're thinking, yeah, my son's really nice. He's, I'm not having a go at anybody, but we've all been there. Do you know what I mean? We've all been there. So, how, parents talk to your children. It's good to talk. That's the most important thing. Once you start talking, don't think, once my son becomes 13, 14, 15 or 16 onwards, I don't want to, sit there with your kids. Do you know what I mean? Talk to them how their day's been. You've got to start that communication channel. That's the most important thing. And if you're talking, you're showing something positive. You're showing an interest in them. That's the other most important thing.
Yeah. So, Ahmed, a role model, you've got a little description here. It says, a person looked to by others as an example to be imitated. Now, what are your thoughts?
I don't think imitated is the right word, right? For me, it's somebody you look up to. It's have they done anything positive? Have they done anything good? For me, a role model is, if I had to describe a role model, it's somebody who's humble, who's done something outside the box. Could be anything, like you touched on before. They're willing to stand up for what they believe in. It could be in any walks of life. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be in the business world, or it could be somebody just, teaching, politics, even religion. Like you said, when we came back to the most important thing, the perfect role model for us in the Muslim communities, our Prophet, Mustafa, you know what I mean? He was the perfect role model. That was years ago. A lot of youngsters read about him, pray about him, hear stories about him, but it's how you relate that into this world,
day and age,
modern time.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
I've got 5 qualities of a role model. It goes down to passion and ability to inspire, clear set of values, commitment to community, selflessness and acceptance of others, and ability to overcome obstacles.
Perfect.
These 5 things, I'm sure if any youth is listening in, these 5 qualities, would make you a good role model. And it doesn't have to be, set out rule by rule. If you do good
comes to you.
Good comes to you.
It's karma, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It comes down to karma, like you say. But you could be a role model even at school. Say you're quite educated, you've got high IQ, you can help others, inspire others, help out. Do you know what I mean? You know, it could be an exam time or something along them lines, and you know, you might be blessed. You know what I mean? And you can help others. You know, like I said, it doesn't always come down to sports or anything like that, but or music or rappers or movie stars or something like that. You could, a role model could be in any walks of life. You know, it could be just that person walking along the street, like you said. You might be just cleaning the park, cleaning the streets. You know, you could be a role model there. You know, I mean, it's just this day and age. It's just when people look at role models, it always comes down to fame, glory, and money.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me on that one?
Yeah. But, you know, we're going to try go out of the box now. You know, say I've got no money in my pocket, in my bank account, but if I do the good things, I'm sure people that are around me will notice these things. And, you know, I'm doing this for good, I'm doing that for good. And they'll be like, you know, he's a good role model. You know, let's try and look up to him.
Yeah.
So it's not always about money and fame. So, yeah. Let's just get the studio number now.
Yeah.
Text.
You've got the studio number. Cause it's just
Yep. The studio number to call in is 0116 4822 086, and the mobile number is 077 488 55055.
I think the public of Leicester is still asleep. We've had
Is
a
it?
few messages. So, I mean, I know it's only 12:42, but so they must be still asleep.
Yeah.
You know, that's the... But, Bas, as a coach, I'm talking to you about football now, okay?
Yep.
Have you inspired others, helped out others?
Yeah, so...
I mean,
you know,
not just sport-wise, you know, it could be a personal issue.
Yeah. So... I don't remember. I don't know if you remember the under-16s are winning the Champions League.
Yes, I do,
okay.
yes. About 5 years, 6 years ago, wasn't it?
So me and my coach at that time, you know, Saz, we met up.
Is he the one who's supposed to be here today? And he's
Right,
gone to
he's not here. Yeah. We met one of our players, Clinton.
Yes,
Do you remember Clinton?
Yes, I remember Clinton.
And
when he passed one of the fastest child in Leicestershire.
Yes, that's right. So he was running for Leicestershire athletics. I think it was, you know, doing the 100-meter sprints and stuff.
Yes, that's it. I remember.
So yeah, but you know, he had a lot of issues at home. We took him under our wing. He played right back for us. You know, he became a mature young man. He took on a lot of responsibilities at home as well for himself.
Did he not play holding?
He played right back.
Oh,
but yeah, you know, he met us last week.
Oh, okay.
After Tarawih, and he said, you know what, Bas says, how can I forget you guys? You know, for what you guys have done for me, and the man I've become, as in for him.
Got to be what, 2021 now?
He must be 21, 22 now.
Yeah,
Coming up to 22. Yeah. But you know, he's become so mature, and he goes, look, I'm at university because of you guys. You know,
Wow.
the qualities that you've taught us. You know, I'm sure if he's listening, I'm sure he can ring in and let us know what his thoughts are. But he said, look, we've turned him into such a mature man that, you know, he knows what's happening in the world now. Before, he was locked up in his room, PlayStation, you know, and when it was game time or training time, he'd come out of the house, you know, for that. But now, you know, he's at university, you know, doing sports science, which is something that, you know, we tried to, you know, encourage him into because that was his field. He's now working full time as well at the same time as, you know, going to university. But, you know, I think he's on holiday now, so he's at full time work. But, you know, when I looked at him on that day, and I just thought, I was quite emotional.
You did something positive. You did something. Yourself and Saz did something positive. And
that's right. Yeah.
We have got a lot of people, not just in our organisation, up and down the country, in other organisations in Leicester, who have made quite a bit of an impact.
Yep.
You know, on the youngsters. It could be, like you said, that was just a small thing. You know, through coaching them football and teaching them life skills, and look at it now. I mean, you know, I think
all the players in that team had some sort of personal issue. Every single person of them had some sort of personal issue. But you know, we wouldn't go around sharing it to anybody.
No, because that was confidential, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was between me and my coach Saz. You know, we'd talk about it. We sit down, talk to him as well about it. We think of ideas going forward, and I'm sure that's what the impact they wanted to hear from us anyway. You know, so that we can make a positive change to that person.
So something like that, like you just touched on, they could talk to you.
Yep.
Obviously, they won't be able to talk about whatever issue they had.
We were quite approachable. Yeah, we were quite approachable. We said to these players,
and that's one of the skills of being a role model.
Yep. So we said to these players, this is our number. You're in a group chat. Our personal numbers are this. If for any reason you need to give us a call, we're there. We will answer that call without hesitation. And we had a few calls here and there, throughout our time. But this is why we do what we want. Because we do it for the community. We do it for these kids. Now, I'm sure going forward, them parents are going to be like, these coaches back in the day, they taught my child this. Hence the reason why he's on the straight path now.
You played some part, or you made an impact in their little, in their short life that they were with you.
That's right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. Like you say, you can make that one impact on somebody's life and touch them. And I'm not saying you're going to make the perfect human being, okay? But yourself and your colleague, Saz, you made an impact on that person.
That's right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. A little thing has gone a long way.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's at university, he's working now, whatever. But it must have felt good. That feeling for you inside must have been good.
Yeah, when we met him, we sat and spoke to each other for 45 minutes. You don't believe it.
Did he bring back memories?
And you know what? He was actually going to take a bus home. And and I said to him, look, I've got a car, jump in. And when he was coming home as well, he was just telling me, these good stories that we were going through at that time.
I remember him; he was quite shy in his young days.
He was, yeah. He was very closed. If should I say, he wasn't open at all. He'd keep himself to himself. He wouldn't go out anywhere. He'd just be at home. School home kind of thing. But he said, look, how can I ever forget you two? How can I ever forget you two? Yeah, and that's what you said to me. And you know what? Great guy, great lad. Well done to him for achieving what he's achieved now.
Well done to you guys as well. I don't think we've got much time left, but I mean, if you had to sum it up, go on, Bas.
Yep, so somebody's just texted in saying, can you share the Football Academy's contact details, please? So we're all over social media, so we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you search Community Football Academy or CFA 04, we should be able to be on there. We will be on there.
If you had to conclude in 20 seconds, Bas, what would you say about role models?
Role models, I'm sure there's plenty out there, but they're not there to be seen, shall I say. As long as somebody or someone can help one another, okay, and make a positive impact in their life, they're a role model.
Yep, I think we've only got about 30, 40 seconds. All I want to close off and conclude is there's a lot, this show wasn't about having a go at anybody or anything like that. It's just our personal views. There's, alhamdulillah, mashallah, there's a lot of good organisations, good people out there who's doing fantastic work, with the youth, even with the elderly, the middle-aged. It doesn't have to be through sport, but there's fantastic, alhamdulillah, really good. Keep up the good work. That's the most important thing. And you know what? Let's try and help our youth, especially this generation, as it's testing times.